Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Mailbox for the 2nd of October 2012. My name is TotalBiscuit, bringing you your daily dose of community interaction, gaming discussion, and all that good stuff. You can email in mailbox@cynicalbrit.com, that's mailbox@cynicalbrit.com, with topics for future shows. Game in the background is whatever the hell I feel like. First email comes in here from Castellator that says, with the recent release of Kha'Zix as a League of Legends champion, hidden passives have become a lot less hidden, and with this, I've noticed a slight outcry against these passives entirely. Some players state that even minute changes like the ninja hidden passive, which reduces their overall HP if multiple ninjas are on the same team, can actually affect the game in a way that should otherwise not be present. Others argue that since they're disabled in ranked queue, this is okay. What is your opinion on hidden passives? Is it okay that they exist only in normal games? In order to balance this mechanic, should every champion get a hidden passive? Should hidden passives be active during ranked games? Should they be struck from the game entirely? Hoping to hear your thoughts. Okay, so those of you who do not know, there are certain heroes within League of Legends that have so-called hidden passives. These are absolutely tiny, minute effects that are put into the game essentially for flavor. So, an example is Nidalee has a passive called Cougar, which gives experience to underleveled champions nearby. Yes, I think you can probably get what the reference is. It's a tiny amount of experience. It is so incredibly small that it doesn't really affect a damn thing, but it's there. The ninja HP buff I was talking about, that is 1 HP removed from their base hit points. Base hit points, and it doesn't scale or anything like that, and that's per ninja on the team. So if there's 5 ninjas, then your ninjas will have minus 4 HP. Shocking, I know. For those of you who don't know, Kennen, who is one of the weakest level 1 ninjas HP-wise, has 482 HP, so 482 minus 4 at a maximum. Which, it doesn't matter. It makes no goddamn difference whatsoever. There's a couple of others, like Leona actually does less damage in very specific circumstances. I believe that's when they have no magic resistance whatsoever, to a champion that is wearing sunglasses. So, it's just a little bit of flavor. The thing is, recently, there's been this kind of crazy thing going on between Kha'Zix and Rengar, who are two of the newest heroes, where under certain circumstances, a event occurs in the game, and they have to go and try and kill each other to prove that one of them is the ultimate hunter. And if they do that, or if they assist in the killing of the other, then they gain a pretty significant bonus. You get an item which changes and gets a bunch of stacks on it if you happen to be playing Rengar and you kill Kha'Zix, and Kha'Zix gets a 4th evolution point, which is pretty significant. Now, this only exists in normal, and the Riot justification for it was simply, we're not considering removing this after the so-called outcry, because it's very cool and fun as well as rare. Balance-wise, it doesn't have the impact that people think it does, and it also adds some strategic choice in picks that can be gambity. And since, as you mentioned, it doesn't affect ranked games at all, I really don't see the problem with it. It would actually be kind of cool if that did affect ranked. I think that would add a little bit of depth into the champion picking process. It is a bit of a risk to grab Rengar if the other guy is able to grab Kha'Zix or whatever his name is, and then you have that duel going on in the center. That's kind of awesome. And the rest of these passives just, they don't do anything. They're just in there for flavor. They don't actually have any real influence on the game whatsoever. And it's awesome that they're there. It's really nice to see that there's a little bit of flavor in a game which otherwise doesn't have particularly strong lore. They like to think that it does, but it really, really does not. The lore of LoL is just tacked together, and they're putting on a reasonable effort to actually make it work. And I think these little pieces of hidden flavor actually do give some context to the lore there. I like it. I think they should stay, and I think that if you don't want them in the game, you are essentially anti-fun. Just remember that LoL players in general have a tendency of blaming their failures on everybody else other than themselves. And if they can find an excuse like, oh no, there was a hidden passive that made this happen, then oh my god, they will do it. They will jump on that opportunity without question, which it appears is exactly what they've done here. But quite frankly, I would say screw that. I really, really would, especially in normal games. Normal game does not matter. If you're going to disable it in ranked games, fine. This seems like an entirely reasonable thing to do. I'd like to see more of this stuff. I would like to see this become a specific part of the game. That would be kind of wonderful, to have rivals facing off against each other and actually have that really unique mechanic in it. And if it just stays within normal games, then it doesn't affect ranked or competitive play in any way, shape, or form, so why even worry about it? But yeah, killjoys. Always, always with the killjoys. There is a rule, ladies and gentlemen. It's called the rule of cool, and you should abide by it when it comes to designing your games. In this case, these little hidden passives are cool, and this latest little event that is very unique indeed that has been put into the game is quite frankly awesome, and I would love to see more of that. So please, by all means, give us more stuff like that. This one comes in from Bryce that says, the Lord of the Rings mod, MERP, for Skyrim recently got cease and desist, but the Third Age mod for Total War did not. The Third Age mod practically uses everything from the Lord of the Rings universe and even has a Fellowship campaign, which was the main reason why Warner Brothers cease and desisted MERP. I was wondering your opinion on why MERP got C&D and not the Third Age mod. It's really speculation to even suggest one way or the other. Yeah, it has a Fellowship campaign, there's no question about that, but the conspiracy theory behind it is that Warner Brothers are looking into doing another Lord of the Rings RPG of some description, and a Skyrim mod would actually conflict and compete directly with that, as opposed to Total War, where they have absolutely no intention of making Lord of the Rings grand strategy, and we probably will not see a Battle for Middle-earth 3 ever. So there really is no harm whatsoever in that mod existing, as opposed to the Skyrim mod, where clearly there is. There is also an even deeper potential conspiracy theory. You want to go deeper? Yeah, let's go deeper on this one. Here's the crazy conspiracy theory, but you can definitely see why some people would believe it. Warner Brothers is a game publisher. You want to know who else is a game publisher? That would be Bethesda. You want to know who's successful? Both of them. They are both very successful game publishers, and as a result, they are in competition. So, you hear about this Lord of the Rings mod being created for Bethesda's Skyrim, which is one of their best-selling titles ever. It continues to sell to this very day, which is quite scary, really, when you think about it. It's only recently that Skyrim dropped out of the top 10 best sellers on Steam, and even now it's still sitting at number 14, which is very surprising indeed. But it's there. It is a continuous seller. Very successful. And you hear about this Lord of the Rings mod. Of course, it's using assets, it's using stuff that you own the intellectual property for. And you think, a successful Lord of the Rings mod for Skyrim would ensure greater sales for Skyrim and the continued strength of Bethesda as a publisher, who is, again, in direct competition with you. So you are able to utilize the IP that you own in order to shut down a mod that could potentially be very, very successful indeed, and, again, strengthen Skyrim. And honestly, I actually think that's more likely than the idea that they're coming up with another Lord of the Rings RPG, and I just don't see why they would. I haven't heard a damn thing about it. The next Lord of the Rings game to come out is actually a Dota-style game on console, of all things, Guardians of Middle-earth. There doesn't seem to be any murmurings whatsoever on that front. Maybe there's a Hobbit game in the works that qualifies for that, but it's more likely it's just going to end up being a third-person action game. Now, when it comes down to Creative Assembly and Sega, I don't think it's really anywhere near. You've got Bethesda that are selling a great deal of games that they have published on consoles, where Warner Brothers is also selling the majority of its games. And there's even some genre crossover. Dishonored is a stealth game with an open world, as is Batman Arkham City. I know it seems ridiculous, but there is some overlap there, and they are competing. I wonder. Because, as you pointed out, both of them could very easily be taken down. Yet one is killed off and the other is not. There is another possibility that's slightly less conspiratorial and more practical. Third Age mod is done. It's already out and on the internet. What the hell is the point in C&D'ing it? It is in the wild. It is impossible to chase that down. That mod was actually released 3 years ago. April 27, 2009, if I recall correctly. So, what is the point in killing off development now? There isn't one. There absolutely isn't one. So perhaps that's why. It's simply because the cat is out of the bag when it comes to Third Age, whereas the Skyrim mod is still in development, so they can actually nip that in the bud. It could very well just be that, and you know what, it probably is. Bear in mind, the most common sense and simplest approach is more often than not actually the correct one. That may very well be the answer to the conundrum. But conspiracy theories are fun, aren't they? Wild accusations, on the other hand, certainly are not. It is a conspiracy theory, leave it as a conspiracy theory. If I found it posted on a forum saying, TotalBiscuit claimed this, then, I will do absolutely nothing, because it's the internet. This one comes in from Anon that says, recently Microsoft announced a new rewards program that offers you discounts for proving your loyalty to the Xbox community. How do they determine your loyalty, one might ask? Well, gamer score, more specifically how many achievements you've completed in your games. The highest level currently being 25,000 plus achievement points. The rewards in question are monthly rebates for Xbox Live purchases made based upon which gamer score range you fall into. My question is simply, what are your thoughts on this, and is this a reasonable system? Well, it's very hard to complain about freebies, isn't it? Because that's what the system actually is. This is a benefit you were getting that wasn't there previously, so it is a little tricky to criticize it. But I'm going to do it anyway, because why the hell not? Firstly, do we really want to be promoting achievement whores? Probably not. They were a problem in World of Warcraft, they continue to be a problem to this day, and you'll say, oh, well, that's a really weird way of looking at things. Who is it harming? Well, it can harm an awful lot of things, because the idea of chasing achievements is actually used to justify some fairly lazy development practices, as well as some questionable design in general. There are some companies that don't care about achievements, and in my opinion, that is rightfully so. But when it comes down to other titles, they are built in such a way as to artificially extend the longevity of the game via the achievement system, and it's a pretty poor way of doing so, quite frankly. I've debated the merit of achievements for several years already, and my conclusion on it is the same as it's always been. They are a waste of time, and they certainly shouldn't be taking up development hours that should be spent on making the game better. On games that just slap achievements together and don't really care, then you know what, I'm fine with those games. It's the ones where significant time has actually been spent on these objectives and stuff gets put in the game deliberately to allow for achievements to be built around it. That I do not like. Now, when it comes to the system, again, it is hard to complain about it because it is freebies, but it's also not a huge amount of anything, really. There are currently 3 tiers of this thing. 3,000 to 9,999 gets you a special gift during your birthday. Whatever that might be. Doesn't seem to say at all. But if you have a look in the terms and conditions, it says it has an approximate value of 25 cents. Oh, Microsoft. Truly, you spoil us. So you're probably getting a gamer avatar or a piece of clothing for your sodding thing that doesn't matter to anybody. What about the next tier? You get a 1% rebate on your Xbox Live Marketplace purchases every month. If you have the quite frankly absurd number of points, which is, I believe, 25,000, then you get a 2% rebate. So if you were to do the maths on this, 2% rebate on a $15 title, which would be 1,200 Microsoft points, would be something along the lines of about 24, I think, which is about 28, 29, 30-ish cents, give or take. So if you wanted to actually get a 1,200 point game, you would have to buy 50 other games to actually make that happen. So, yes, it's really not all that good. If you were to compare it to a loyalty card, for instance, for, let's say, Game, because I worked at Game, you got £2.50 for every £100 you spent. If it was a pre-order, you got double that, so it was 5%, so £5 for every 100, and there were various promotions which allowed you to get more than that. So bear in mind, Game was one of the most notoriously stingy companies ever, and even they managed to beat Microsoft on this particular thing. And you didn't have to pay for the privilege of having Xbox Live Gold every month, which is a legendary ripoff. I mean, really, come on, it is. Compare Xbox Live Gold to what PSN offers, and then even compare it to what PlayStation Plus costs. 12 months of both cost the same, yet with PlayStation Plus you get like about 12 to 16 free games, as well as a whole bunch of other great discounts. With Microsoft's Xbox Live Gold, you get the privilege of being able to use their service. Wow, I feel truly honored. Thanks, MS, that's wonderful. As I've said before, it's hard to complain because it's a freebie that you didn't otherwise have. If you already own Xbox Live Gold, then hey, it's just a little bit extra, but it really is a little bit extra. There is just so little you can actually do with that, and well, what a way to reward people after subscribing to Xbox Live Gold for like 6 bloody years. Think about that for a second. You've been subbed to Xbox Live Gold for 6 years. You've paid $300 for the privilege of being able to use their wonderful servers, and on every single other platform you don't have to pay a dime to do that. It makes me scratch my head just a little bit. Long story short, it might be free, but it's nonetheless bloody lame. It might sound entitled, but come on. You can't really celebrate this. It's barely anything. And to link it to achievement points as well. To link it to achievement points, especially when a lot of them require you to go out of your way and do stupid crap that isn't actually involved in the game itself. That really annoys me. If you're going to reward people with this kind of stuff, reward them based on how long they've been on your service. Don't reward them by how many achievements they've got. There are a lot of gamers that don't care about achievement points. And yet they are your loyal customers, and they don't get rewarded because they decided they didn't want to care about these imaginary points on the internet. Come off it, Microsoft. What an incredibly stupid system to link the rewards to. Alright folks, that's me done for the day. Thank you very much for watching the Mailbox, and I shall see you next time.